Someone just brought it up in the chat. This is also something I've been dying to talk to you about, how you feel about the progressives holding the line now that the bill has been cut down to nothing but another handout to the rich. Of course, talking about Joe Biden's Build Back Better plan, which has been gutted before our eyes from 3.5 trillion down to 1 trillion plus, essentially. Looks like it's going to be a total handout, as this commenter says, to the rich. Well, basically all of the provisions that would have helped the working class and the environment have been, systematically stripped from it at the whim of Joe Manchin, Kyrsten Sinema, et cetera. So what's your opinion on that? And do you actually think that the likes of Bernie Sanders and the squad in the House of Representatives will hold the line and vote this thing down in its current form? Or do you think they'll fold?
I think they're going to fold. I think they should vote it down. But I think they're going to fold. I credited them when they held the line in terms of not voting for this shitty bipartisan infrastructure deal, which is just a privatization scheme on steroids, the separate bipartisan deal that Manchin and all the corporate vultures want. Because, that's the first time they've organized as a bloc to at least take an action. So that was good. But I started realizing this was going off the tracks because I kept saying, I don't understand. Why don't you go to West Virginia? All of you. Why don't you go to Arizona? Why don't you hold rallies? I've reported in West Virginia. They want everything that's in that bill and then more. West Virginia was a Democratic state 10 years ago for a century. The only reason it's moved right is because of people like Joe Manchin and the Democratic Party moving right and not actually offering a populist alternative. So I don't understand why they did this inside baseball stuff when they could have held massive rallies publicly shaming Joe Manchin, publicly shaming Kyrsten Sinema. Khanna, when I interviewed him, kind of dismissed that.
Great interview, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I don't know why that would matter. Well, I don't know. Bernie wrote a newspaper op-ed and it kind of ruffled Manchin's feather. Bernie, former AOC staffers, people might not know this, but her former chief of staff and communications person, they started a super PAC. First thing they did was go on the air with radio ads in West Virginia, attacking Manchin in January because he was against the $2,000 checks. And then he started backpedaling. So I don't understand Khanna and these others. They go on CNN and they talk tough and stuff, but Manchin could be shamed. He is shameful. He is corrupt, but he's a human being. Nobody likes to be shit on their doorstep. Sinema, I don't know what she is. I'm not going to get into that, but I think she could be shamed. So I think outside of initially voting, not refusing to vote for the deal, I think they played this wrong. And to me, listen, I've defended Bernie Sanders a lot. I don't think he's a sellout, but I'm going to call it what it is. This is a legacy moment for Bernie Sanders. He has the ability to stop this. His whole thing has been red line, expanding Medicare, dental, vision, hearing, which also matters for you and I, by the way, because we're not of age yet. But if you move that Overton window to you're not just getting regular health, but vision, hearing, and dental, then for Medicare for all, that's already normalized. That's already part of it, the vision, hearing, and dental. I think he should vote no. I think he should say, we have complete control. And if we accept this, the same thing is going to happen that happened in 2010. Obama proposed a massively insufficient stimulus bill. The Democrats negotiated against themselves on Obamacare, and you had the Tea Party wave come in. And I would say, if I were Bernie, I would say I cannot in good conscience vote for this. And also, on the climate piece, because that's the marketing and branding that's coming out now. Oh, it might be $500 billion, the biggest climate investment ever. $500 billion is half a Band-Aid to a gaping climate inferno. So listen, I haven't really been quite on the Jimmy Dore thing where they're all Lucifer, but I cannot say that I would vote no, and I think they should be criticized when they fold.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. And obviously it's worth mentioning too that Joe Biden, the president himself, hasn't gone to West Virginia either to try to pressure Joe Manchin into, helping to enact his agenda. It is his agenda. He has the bully pulpit as president. He's not using it for anything. He's basically folded every time given.
I thought he was the guy that gets things done. That's what we were fed.
Yeah, exactly. The new FDR, right? But I totally agree. It's been not just disappointing, but straight up confusing, the strategy of the progressives. And you mentioned Khanna. I was just watching him on the Bad Faith podcast by Brianna Joy Gray, and he's defending the bill before it even is voted on. He's out here saying it's going to be a good bill. We're going to be proud to vote and vote for it and pass it. Essentially, I just don't understand it. Isn't it your job to be the left flank, not defend and run cover for this bill, which has so clearly been gutted at the whim of corporate extremists? I just truly don't understand.
I think Ro Khanna and all of them are deathly afraid, and this was the same problem Bernie had, of being painted by the media as arsonists, political terrorists, and that the progressives are obstructing change, because that's how the media would frame it. And I say to that, well, what's the alternative, Ro? I mean, what is the alternative? Okay, the deal passes. Nothing really changes. Even the universal pre-K is means tested if you actually read the plan. And then we start running for 2022 under vote blue no matter who, Republicans bad, even though Trump's not in it. They're still, Terry McAuliffe's campaign in Virginia is all Trump and just trying to paint his opponent as Trump. So to me,
even though he hasn't even been endorsed by Trump, right? Glenn Youngkin hasn't even been endorsed by Trump.
Right. So progressives fundamentally misunderstand, to me, that, at the end of the day, it's a lose-lose. You're either going to be painted by the media that way if you actually fight, or you're going to be painted, or you're going to be marginalized by the media, and the media is going to help rig the campaigns against you anyway. So why not change? My partner Jen talks about a pattern interrupt. Why don't you do a pattern interrupt and actually fight? Go hold those rallies. Go say, no. I wish Bernie during the campaign, I think Kyle mentioned this during the campaign. Why didn't Bernie keep saying, no. Let me tell you what's actually radical. What's actually radical is 500,000 people are sleeping on the streets. That's actually radical. And other countries look at us in absolute puzzlement and are dumbfounded. What's radical is literally people are rationing insulin. That would be radical. Progressives need to change the paradigm. But the problem is, I'm not picking on Ro Khanna, but Ro Khanna and a lot of these progressives are not firebrands. Even AOC and these folks that were firebrands before, they kind of got in and been seduced with this long game thinking. Well, I don't know. I'm a little older than you guys, but I don't really think all of us have 30, 40 years to wait for this long game. And I would rather, if I'm progressives, you have the people behind you. The majority of people would gravitate towards you if you were out there fighting. And you know what? Manchin and Sinema, they'll hold it up. So why don't you do the same thing and hold it up? I don't understand it. And frankly, this is why in 2024, we'd have a choice between, Pete, because Kamala seems on the out, and whoever, whatever. Tom
You're
Cotton
totally right, though, about
or
the
Nikki
long
Haley.
game. Yeah, you're totally right, though, about the long game thinking. Going back to that Bad Faith interview with Ro Khanna, he basically said that in his view, the Build Back Better plan is building blocks so that in the next 10 to 15 years, we can start to actually get some fundamental systematic change, which is funny because maybe just a month ago or so, they were saying that the Build Back Better plan was fundamental change, that it was, the biggest, most impressive, working class deal that would help this country and abolish poverty and all this bullshit. But now they're saying it's building blocks so that in a decade or two, we can have some nice things. It's just crazy how they keep, moving the goalposts, changing the way they talk about this, and really just proving that they're not fighting behind the scenes. They're going to fold. They're going to go with it no matter what. And they have no backbone, which brings me no pleasure to say.
Well, I also think there's another element, and not that I'm not comparing Obama to Bernie, obviously very different, but progressives are making the same mistake Obama made. Obama, he obviously was bought off by Wall Street, but he also built the biggest digital army at that time ever. And instead of using it as president to apply pressure for single payer or for actual substantive policy, he just totally did not utilize his digital army. Actually, not only a digital army, that physical bodies that would have came out, and just went along with the Chamber of Commerce and Obamacare and all that crap, while continuing to bomb 10 other countries. Bernie and the squad, they have a massive army. Obviously, we know the left has been fractured online. That's another story. But I mean, you have a massive army ready at your disposal to fight. They're just looking for the permission. They're just looking for you to take the lead. Bernie's the one that said, oh, no, when I'm in the White House, the first thing I'm doing isn't meeting with McConnell to compromise. It's meeting with McConnell and telling him, look outside the window. Here's my army. I mean, you still have that army. Sure. I mean, there's a lot of people that have fallen out and are hopeless and angry. But I think those people, if they saw the people that they have been disappointed with starting to fight with hard-line positions, they could become activated again. But I'm not seeing that fight. And, Roe and Bernie or whatever, it's not good enough to just sell it as, the number was cut by $6 trillion because it was originally supposed to be 6. And there's no Medicare expansion. And, the billionaire tax isn't really a billionaire tax, but, universal pre-K, and, we'll get back at it in 2024. You're going to lose the entire movement if you keep doing that. To be fair, progressives don't have the White House. Progressives don't have majorities. But what you do have, which we have seen them exercise at least once, is your vote. That's your strongest leverage point. And I think they need to use it here and let the chips fall where they fall. The media, I'm in Buffalo right now, okay? The media is going after India Walton very hardly, just like they went after Nina, just like they'll go after every progressive. So whether you fold or fight, they're always going to go after you. So why don't you fight?
Yeah. And I mean, it just seems like it's the same refrain over and over again. You mentioned the Obama years, right? It's like Joe Manchin is just the new Lieberman, right? Somebody that they can say, oh, we can't do anything because of this guy right here. But Bernie Sanders, with afforded all the same power that, Joe Manchin is, or Kyrsten Sinema, his one vote in the Senate, he is not going to play the role of the, Joe Lieberman of the people, if you will.